Hello everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you watched my other video where I do my summer haul, I talked about this book by the author Nina Laden, and she wrote this book which is super cute, and it's called When Pigasso Met Mootisse. And of course, you know, Mootisse is Matisse and Pigasso is Picasso. So I'm gonna read you part of the book and then tell me what you think. So, once there was a young pig named Pigasso. While the other piglets rolled in the mud and played games, Pigasso painted. He painted anything and everything, and in a most unusual way. At the same time, there was once a young bull named Mootisse. Mootisse was not like the other bulls. He wasn't interested in bullfighting. Mootisse was happy only when he painted pictures, and he painted big, bold, bright pictures. In time, word of Picasso's talent spread throughout the pig provinces. Soon, art-loving pigs from all over lined up to buy his creations. At the same time, Mootisse was getting famous in the cattle community. There were many households that didn't own a Mootisse masterpiece. As you can see, a lot of the famous paintings by Matisse, they just made a parody out of it. Now instead of the people, it's the cows. And this one's the Picasso, the Demonstration of Avignon. It's the same thing, you know, they just put the pigs on top of the woman's body. And throughout the book, all of the paintings in here are, you know, somewhat replicas of the original paintings. Picasso and Matisse were becoming art superstars, but this came with a price. Everybody wanted to see them. Art buyers, art sellers, art students, art historians, art groupies. It was an art attack. One day, Picasso got fed up and said, "I'm tired of this noisy pig pen." At the same time, Mootisse declared, "I'm sick of this crowded cow town." Needing a change, they both decided to look for a peaceful place where they could paint without distractions. So each of the two artists looked far and wide for the perfect spot. Picasso found a lovely farm looking towards the east. Mootisse found a handsome farm facing the west. After Picasso moved in, he went to introduce himself to his new neighbor across the road. At the same time, Mootisse went to introduce himself to his new neighbor across the road. This is how Picasso met Mootisse. And coincidentally, this is how Mootisse met Picasso. So what do you think is going to happen now? Are they going to become friends? Are they going to collaborate? Or are they going to hate and despise each other? I think, well, in real life, let me tell you what happened in real life. In real life, they were kind of competitive with each other. Picasso believed that Matisse was the only artist out there who was worthy of being considered a, what's it called? Well, the other artist that was at his level, like nobody else was giving him any competition other than Matisse. So they did have somewhat of a friendly rivalry. They would meet at each other's houses and they would exchange ideas. They actually even exchanged paintings. So there definitely was a rivalry between the two because, you know, Matisse was older than Picasso, and he had, you know, established a very, you know, strong following. Picasso came up very young, much younger, and rose to fame fairly quickly. So there was a rivalry at first, but then it became a friendship. So let's see what happens in the book. At first, Picasso and Mootisse were friendly and welcomed each other as neighbors, but soon things began to change. It started one day when Picasso criticized one of Matisse's paintings. Then Mootisse made fun of one of Picasso's. Mootisse called Picasso an art hog, and Picasso called Mootisse a mad cow. Mootisse quipped, "You paint like a 2-year-old," Picasso retorted. "You paint like a wild beast." And it's funny, because Matisse's style is known as fauvism, and fauvism is a French word for wild beast. And the art critics, when Matisse was coming up with his style of painting, it was criticized by critics, and he was called a fauve, a wild beast. So that is actually factual. Mootisse raged. "Your colors look like mud," Picasso spat. "Your paintings look like color by numbers." Then things got really out of hand. It was a modern art mess. Picasso stormed off into his house. "That Mootisse doesn't like my art," he huffed. "Well, I'll show him." And Mootisse bullied his way into his house. "I'll give that Picasso something he can really criticize," he snorted. Then a full-scale feud erupted, but it was a most unusual battle. Armed with ladders and buckets of paint, Mootisse launched the first attack. He started at dawn. By the end of the evening, he had succeeded in transforming the outside of his house into a monster-sized masterpiece. Actually, the way he painted his house is very reminiscent of the paper cutouts that Matisse used to make. Because at the late stages of his life, when he couldn't walk as much and he was a little bit immobile, he started just cutting out paper and pasting them together to create artworks. And this one right here is very reminiscent of his later works. Not to be undone, Picasso fired up his paintbrushes and in full view of the enemy, counterattacked. He turned his farm into a huge and outrageous pork of art. The two artists then retreated into their houses and pulled down the shades. Picasso certainly did not want to look out his window and stare at a Mootisse, and Mootisse had no desire to give his rooms a view of a Picasso. So, what do you think is going to happen? Mootisse doesn't want to see Picasso, and Picasso doesn't want to see Mootisse. It's a very interesting and very good story. If you really want to know what happens, I suggest you go to your local bookstore or online and purchase this book. It's a great read, and a lot of the stuff in here is based on factual information. So thank you so much for watching. Leave your comments below. Did you like the book? Would you like for me to read different books? And please like, subscribe, and please go to my channel and check out all the other videos. Thank you so much for watching.